Thank you everyone for staying with us here on Global Television. It's a delight to welcome you to yet another edition of Scale of Justice. This week's edition focuses on the war, so to speak, as it's often called, against corruption in this country. Time and again, we're saying the EFCC, that is the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, as well as the Independent Corrupt Other Practices Commission, which is, of course, the ICPC, working hand in hand in terms of warding off or cutting to his barest this monster called corruption. However, Nigerians, for the most part, in terms of their assessment, don't seem to be very satisfied with the outcome. We have seen accusations and counter-accusations as to the mandate of the EFCC, ideally, and what the commission does in real time across this country. Of course, no doubt in the fact that the EFCC has also received accolades on a number of fronts, including in terms of its collaboration with agencies beyond Nigeria and even far away from Africa. But then, when it's all said and done, Nigerians say they expect more from this otherwise noble commission. As a matter of fact, there are also now questions as to the laws that are supposed to help strengthen or even drive the fight against corruption in this country. We're taking a quick break. When we return, we'll jump right into this conversation full throttle. Do stay with us. All right, let's get right to it. My guest is a lawyer and very enthusiastic about conversations around the fight against corruption, because we do understand that's one way that Nigeria and, of course, its economy can get underway and become more prosperous than it currently stands. I'm joined by Ziggy Usman, a legal practitioner. It's a pleasure to have you in the program.
Thank you for having me.
Let's begin with first of all, what the fight against corruption was prior to the advent of EFCC and ICPC. We know, yes, the police has always had the anti-fraud units of some kind. But then it will appear that was not good enough or not effective enough or efficient enough, which probably led to the introduction, or if you like, setting up of the EFCC and the ICPC. What has the trajectory been in terms of fighting corruption from the standpoint of the law?
Well, at first, before the inception of the agencies created, that was as far back as 2000. Before then, as you did mention, the police have been doing something about that because of the enabling law that has been in existence, which is the criminal code laws. In the north, we have the criminal code, and then we have the South also have their own criminal code and penal code. So the criminal code is applicable in the northern part, while the other one is applicable in the southern part of the country. So we are talking from the point of Nigeria. We are in Abuja here, so criminal code applies. So in that criminal code, there's a provision already that prohibits offenses. Give them rights, the police now, to charge and investigate issue of corruption in that particular act, corruption, and other offenses that has to do with that. But that was what they were doing before then. That was where this issue of anti-corruption, the other the departments set. But those, when going forward after then, the inception of the democracy fully 1999, that was when we now begin to have a departure from what we used to have before, and then what we're having now, because they were the one that now laid the first foundation to this anti-corruption war struggle that we have been in for a very long time. Of course, as Nigerians, that was an action and an act in order to show that, yes, even though we were using a military procedure as at then, that is in military era, Now it's a civilian regime whereby people will have their own, their voices should be heard. And that is one of the reasons why those things, institutions, they were nurtured and thereby given birth to as a result of giving back to the society and to the people a sense of belonging, for them to know that, yes, the civilian regime, they are very serious and up to task to give back to the people that which they elected them to represent them. That was one of the concepts as at that 1999/2000, when the first anti-corruption agency was created. That is the ICPC 2000, that was created by 2000, in the independent corrupt practices and other related offenses, and it come through the Enabling Act that created the ICPC itself, the commission itself. So that was where they start, and then that gave Nigerians a sense of hope as at then, that yes, of a truth, because based on what Nigerians saw then was that there was a massive corruption going on and there's no way to curtail it. But with that introduction of that anti-corruption agency, then the first agency so far, that gave the then-led federal government a credit in the international community that make them to recognize them and know that, yes, we think this Nigerians, they want to start doing something. Because as at then, all those laws that give birth that we were using, which is the criminal code, that was not yielding any positive result per se, because it ended up in court and dragging here and there, and then there was no serious issue. Because at the end of the day, it's always the poor that end up being sentenced, and then those ones that doesn't have money, they're the ones that they find themselves in prison. But those ones that have their way, they have money, the matter will go and drag in court, and then before you know it, they will strike it out because of lack of evidence, and knowing fully well that the police, as at then, they don't do their proper investigation before they arraign a suspect. They take the suspect to court before going back to start doing investigation, which is not proper.
Right.
So there's no way...
Media trial sometimes.
Yes. So there's no way you take somebody to court before you now seek the leave from court that, okay, we've not, they just arraign him, and then we are going to go and prepare everything to now start our...
I need to bump in quickly. Isn't that ironic? Because we are told that agencies like ICPC and EFCC has some crop of very fine lawyers. So how is it that they don't understand how the procedure works?
No. Like those ones now, the ICPC and EFCC, they are more or less advanced in what they do, because, of course, as you said, they have some very good lawyers that are handling their briefs and matters. And before now, most of their cases are not even handled by the lawyers within the commission. They give it out to external solicitors to handle the matter, so that the matter will be done very well. But unfortunately, along the line, some, when giving such kind of brief as at where before, they end up, you don't hear anything again, because you end up being tempted with whether or not to continue or to take this thing and leave this matter the way it is. That was why I think, because nowadays I used to see most of the some of the lawyers of EFCC and ICPC in court prosecuting matters themselves. I see them now.
Which was not the case.
Yes, but before I don't used to see them like before, like now. Now I used to see them, EFCC lawyers, of course, their staff with their ID card and everything, and they tell the court their even position, their rank. So that's why you know that these are from the agency directly.
In-house lawyers.
Yes, in-house lawyers. So those ones, of course, that is where there's a paradox from how it used to be before and how they do it now. But even at that, most of the celebrated cases they were able to succeed in, they were done by some of them were done by private lawyers that are handling the briefs for them. most of the big cases, the political cases and other ones, it was handled by private lawyers that were able to do the needful and then get the result for them. Those judgments, most of them were done by external solicitors that had handled their briefs for them that indirectly. So they work in collaboration with the agency because, of course, as a lawyer, there's nothing you can do if the investigator did not do his work thoroughly.
Right.
Of course, and the investigator must also be guided on how to go about it because sometimes the investigators doesn't know the ingredient that is needed in order to make a case fly in court.
It's interesting. We're taking a quick break, everyone. Barrister Usman has a few more things to talk to us about regarding this very important issue. We're back shortly. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us here on Scale of Justice. There's the argument by some that ideally we should merge ICPC and EFCC because their mandates seem to overlap. Is that your sentiment, Barrister Usman?
Well, to some extent, not really. Because if you check the enabling laws creating those agencies, one is saying investigate and prosecute corruption. One is saying investigate and charge, investigate for corruption, and then it goes further because there's a difference between the assignments by the EFCC and the ICPC. There's a little bit difference because there are cases that ICPC cannot handle.
What are some examples? Maybe
the example now is like this. The ICPC are to now investigate and prosecute corruption cases. Now, the corruption cases, to some extent, is limited to within the confines of Nigeria, while the EFCC goes beyond the shores of Nigeria because
and even Africa.
Yes, and Africa. It talks about money laundering and other things. So now, if those things, and remember, you know that before now, NFIU was part of, with what they were together with EFCC.
Some years ago.
Yes, it's a department in EFCC. It was a tug of war during, I think, during Goodluck, before he left office. No, Buhari, 2018, because Nigeria was about to be suspended for their refusal to let NFIU be on its own.
To be independent.
To be independent on its own. Because that is the international standard. So at that point, they have no option than to create that and leave them to be a part, because they used to be a department under them. So there are a lot of things that difference between the ICPC and EFCC, what they do and what they cannot do. It's not like a replica directly as people think that they do the same thing. No, they do virtually different things, because one is handling, probably taking care of civil servants and other public government officers, while the others is going beyond public officers and going to even international, because that is one of the mandates they have, money laundering. And money laundering is not something you do between me and you. We do it here in this Abuja here. No, it goes beyond that.
Right. It's transnational.
Yes, it's transnational. So you do it, and so those things are those. So for me, I think because the government can as well rejig the two of them and bring them together in order to save costs. If that is the basis, then no, it's okay. It's a welcome development,
right.
And so that they can be funded, because they will have enough funds with which they can work with, because they are to some extent they are somehow incapacitated.
That was the EFCC.
Both of them. There are things that, because they are having some challenges that one of which attributed to the local lack of enough funding, adequate funding, and the independency, as it were, is not the way it is. So you see, these are things that needs to be looked at, And that should be the argument of people that, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. And the government too, if they really want to make and prove to Nigerians, because the truth of the matter is this: the founding fathers of these organizations, these institutions, the reason they have and why they did what they did, they have to be commended by taking that bold step. Because if that has not been taken by now, I'm sure these ones cannot even have the cost to do what the other previous government must have done. So the institution has been laid, the foundation has been laid, but it's unfortunate that one of the things they do is to weaken the institution so that they cannot do those things that they need to do. Because it baffles me that as an institution, there are some things that there are no-go areas they cannot do. Then what are we saying? That means we are not saying we are not doing what they.
So they are limited in some areas.
Of course, there are some things that they cannot do. They themselves know. And when you are talking about some people, this person, you can't go to him. You can't even start doing anything about it because you need to get clearance from your subordinate. Because all of them, they are all, like the FCC, they are all under the Ministry of Justice. So the Minister for the Attorney General could give them, they are all under the ministry. They are parastatal under the ministry. So all those things, there are things that some clearance, they will say, no, okay, hold on first. What will you do? There's nothing you can do about it.
That's probably is the issue of the political elements
of course,
in all of this.
Of course.
We would like to say a big thank you to you, Barrister Ziggy Usman, for sharing these very important insights
thank you very
with
much.
us today on the program. And that's what we're leaving it, everyone. Thank you for watching. We're back here. I know this time to bring you another very interesting conversation on scale of justice. I'm Uyi Agumofwegbe. We'll see you again.